Well, family, answer me this. What are the holidays without a delicious dessert or two or three or four or five? Yeah, it gets out of hand during the holidays. You got your pies and your cakes and your thises and your that's. Unfortunately, you're not going to get any of those recipes from me. I don't know how to bake. I didn't inherit that gene that my mother has. Sorry, I tried. But there's one thing I do know how to do, and that's a good old nana pudding. That's right, nana pudding. Say it with me, nana pudding. That's how the old school grandmothers and great grandmothers, that's how they used to say it. Good old nana pudding. So we're going to do this the traditional way. I have nothing new to add to it. I have nothing to take away from it because some things should be kept the way they are. There is no shortcuts to a good nana pudding. So come on in, have a seat, and watch me bake for the first time on this channel. And you probably ain't gonna be getting no more. So eat it up. Let's bake. So let's get into this banana pudding. As you see, I have 1.5 sticks of unsalted butter. Now, I'm going to do this from scratch. You guys know I don't know how to bake. I'm not a baker. But if you don't want to do it from scratch, this is what you can use as well. This is what I grew up on. My mother always used this and she made it taste phenomenal. But I'm going to try my hands at this and I'm going to add a little twist to it. And we're just going to cross our fingers to see how it comes out. Now, with that, I have my liquid, which is going to be 6 cups of milk. Now, I halvened it because I'm putting 3 cups of whole milk and then I'm putting 3 cups of carnation milk. Okay. All right. So this is the carnation milk and I'm using 3 cups of this and then 3 cups of whole milk. Okay. So I'm also going to put 2 cups of sugar. Now, if I was not using carnation milk, I would have used 3 cups of sugar for the 6 cups. You basically want to use 1 cup of sugar for every 2 cups of milk. But since I put carnation milk in there and it's nice and sweet, I'm only going to use 2 cups of sugar. Okay. So we'll let this get to a point. And what I'm going to do first is I want to let this get a little warm because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit out and I'm going to add it to these eggs. Why? Because, and I'm not a baker, but I know that if I add this into there while it's hot, it's probably going to turn into scrambled eggs. And I don't want to take that chance. So once it gets a little warm for me, I'm going to go ahead and take some out and put it in here. So then I can mix it without it curling up. And it's starting to get a little warm. Well, not yet, but I thought it did. You want to stir this in so that your sugar dissolves well as well. And the milk was at room temperature. The butter wasn't, and there's no particular reason for that. Was just I forgot to take some out, so I just got it straight out of the refrigerator. But keep stirring so that your sugar can dissolve pretty good in there. Okay. And it should get warm pretty quick for me because I'm on this gas. It may take, oh, there it is right there, actually. So I'm going to get nice couple of scoops here and put it in there. And this isn't hot. It's just starting to get warm. So what I want to do is I just want to get that in there to a point. And now I'm using 6 eggs. As you saw, there were 6 egg yolks, and you want to separate the egg yolk from the egg whites. And you can either use the egg whites to eat, or you can make a meringue with them, which is what I'm going to do. Now, I do remember my mother as a kid making a meringue for her banana puddings, and I used to love it. I mean, it was so good. So we're gonna see. All right, so I got this in here. Now, I want to move a little fast. Why? Because I'm going to take some more of this out, and I'm going to add it to this Pyrex, and I'm going to mix in some all-purpose flour. Now, there's really no ingredients. There's no measurements for this flour. I'm just going to make, something thick, but I don't want this to be too hot because then it's going to clump up on me, and I don't want that. And I'll just put a little something in there and then get ready to mix it around. So I'm going to say I put about 4 tablespoons in there. You want to stir this real good because you don't want any lumps. And you want to stir it as it's going off into the pudding as well. All right. Now, so I'm on a medium, but I am on gas, but it is medium. So you want to cook this. You don't want to cook this high. You want to cook this on medium. Let it come up to a boil. It will thicken up really good. And once it starts to do that, we'll start to add the rest of the ingredients, which is going to be, these are the twists that I'm going to put in here. Now, I've never seen anybody do this, but in my mind, in my non-baking mind, it makes sense. So I have some amaretto liqueur and I have some Grand Marnier. And I'm going to put about 2 teaspoons of each. 2 teaspoons of amaretto, 2 teaspoons of Grand Marnier, and then I'm going to add about a teaspoon and a half of vanilla extract, and always get pure vanilla extract. It's a little bit more expensive than the imitation, but believe me, the taste comparison is night and day. So you don't want to mess around with imitation vanilla. Here I have some nutmeg. Again, nutmeg is very powerful. You don't want to use a lot. I have a teaspoon of nutmeg here. And then I have a couple of teaspoons of the allspice here, okay? Now, this is starting to get thick. And so the thicker it gets, we'll get closer to adding the rest of those ingredients to it. All right, folks, so we're starting to get a little thickness to it. It's going to take some time, especially on medium heat. As you can look at the bottom, you see that? It's starting to thicken up on the bottom. Now, you cannot leave this. You cannot leave this for 30 seconds. You can't leave this for 15 seconds. You have to constantly stir this, because as you see, the more I stir, the more it is starting to cook on the bottom, and you have to keep that moving around. All right. So let's go ahead and go in with some of our flavoring, and that was the nutmeg. And then the allspice. And listen, you don't have to add any of this, or you can add as much of this as you want. All right, let's go in with the vanilla extract and the Grand Marnier and the amaretto. All right. So, like I said, I'm going to add my own little twist to it. We'll see how it tastes. We'll see, you know, what we can do. This is my first time making nana pudding. So we'll see what's going on from here. Now, of course, like I said, just continue to stir. Don't stop stirring. And it's going to continue to get really, really thick. You don't want anything to settle on the bottom. All right, we're starting to come up to a nice boil, starting to get real thick. You can see those spices in there. I can smell everything that I just put in there. All right. It's not there yet, but it almost is. And at this point, you want to be careful because it's going to pop. You know, you're going to get a lot of poppage, and this is some really thick stuff that could really burn you. So you want to be careful with that. Okay. So the test is, of course, as always, it's sticking to the spoon. That's when you know that it's done. Turn it off. Again, be safe, be careful. If this stuff pops on you, man, it's going to be a really bad burn. So I'm going to put it to the side, kind of let it cool off a little bit before I start to build the banana pudding. And we will be back when we begin to construct that. All right, folks, here we go. We have our pudding ready. And man, let me tell you, this pudding tastes so good. The things that I added to this really, really made it taste totally different from what I'm used to, but still at the same time, very good. Very, very good. All right, so we're going to get these bananas off in there. As you see, I got the cookies. You know, I'm trying to recreate it the way my mother used to do it when I was a kid. And she used to cook hers in a glass bowl. It was a dark brown glass bowl with a lid. And man, that thing used to look so good, man. She was so precise in the way that she layered it. It was so precise. So I'm gonna see if I could recreate that. It's not going too well right now, but we'll get there. So also, let me say this. I think the best way to have your bananas for a banana pudding is somewhat like this. Anything over this much, I think you're probably, you know, in a day or so, unless you plan on eating it all in one day, it's probably not going to have a good consistency to it. All right, so we got our vanilla wafers in there. We have our bananas in there. And we'll just go ahead and spoon some of the pudding out on top. And it's been sitting a while, but it's still pretty warm, pretty hot. And spread that out nice and evenly. And then, so I'm just going to go ahead and just keep building this and keep building this. As you can see, it's, you know, cookies, bananas, you know, pudding. So it'll be pretty much the same thing all the way around. So when we get done with this, we'll be back. All right, so we have built up the banana pudding. We've layered it. It's ready to go into the oven. We're going to put it in a 350-degree oven for about 20 minutes. And while we're doing that, we'll go ahead and make the meringue for you. All right, folks, so we're ready to go ahead and make the meringue. Now, of course, meringue is made with the egg yolks beaten vigorously in with a hand beater or in a machine. And I'm going to add some powdered sugar to it. And I'm going to also add some cream of tartar to it. Now, this is going to thicken it up. You don't want to use a lot. I'm only using 1/8 of a teaspoon. If you use too much of that stuff, it's not going to be a really good taste. It almost tastes like metal, like a metal flavor in your mouth. So you don't want to use too much. And so here, we'll go ahead and just start whipping this up. All right, so at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and add the cream of tartar. You want to do that once you start seeing. You want to do that once you start seeing it starting to foam. All right, so at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and just start adding some sugar to it. All right, so at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and add the sugar. It really doesn't make a difference how much you add. Just add it according to, your taste. A good idea is to go ahead and sift that sugar in there. And that's the way you should always do powdered sugar. Just sift it in there. All right, so there we have the meringue. Let's go ahead and get ready to top our banana pudding. All right, folks, so we're just gonna go ahead and just top this with that meringue. Now, my mother used to have perfect peaks on it. Don't quite know how she did it, but I'm not gonna try to replicate that one. I mean, she used to have some nice peaks on it too, man. Never figured out how she did it though. And there we are, family. Look at how beautiful that looks. So there you have just made homemade Southern style nana pudding. So if this is your first time joining us here at Yes Chef, I want to thank you for watching our videos. And I want to let you know to have a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. So until the next time we see you folks, until the very next video, as always, family, peace. Thank you so much for watching this video. And don't forget, hit the like button. And if you want to be a part of the Yes Chef family, consider hitting the subscribe button. And don't forget, click the notification bell, and that way you'll stay up to date on all of our latest videos. Also consider becoming a member of my Patreon for up close and behind the scene content. And be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. Thank you.